What's going on, guys? Chris here, just doing a little bit of work on the Miata, as you can see behind us. Basically what I'm doing is today I'm pulling the engine. So a couple of things whenever pulling this motor. First off, I am just going to disconnect it from the transmission. So I already got up underneath there, there's just a couple of bolts that hold it onto the transmission. They're a pain in the butt to get to. You need to have a bunch of different extensions, some wallow bits, things like that to be able to get up underneath there. So it is a bunch of 17mm bolts, pretty easy to get to. The next thing I did was I went through and I removed a bunch of the stuff on the front. So basically all of the intake hoses and everything. I'm leaving the intake on just because it's going to be easier to take it off once I get it out. And it's not in the way of me actually pulling the motor up and out of this thing. As for the power steering pump and the AC, what I've done here is I've actually just unbolted them from the car and gotten them up and out of the way. So I'm not taking off any of those lines, any of those hoses, any of that sort of stuff. So that should make it a lot easier to put it back in, so I don't deal with that stuff. I did end up cutting the heater line hoses back there. I was pulling so hard on those to try and get them off. I had a hook up underneath the backside, couldn't get them off. Decided, screw it, I'm just going to cut them. Things are like 20 bucks to replace them from Rock Auto, and quite honestly, it's probably not a bad idea to replace them anyways. So we're going to go ahead and lift this thing up and hopefully get it out of here, so that way we can start transferring all the parts of our to our new motor. So. We got the engine. We got the engine out of the Miata here, and I'm going to go ahead and say that that giant hole right there in the oil pan probably has something to do with why there's oil leaking all over my driveway. So that's not good. Guessing I'm going to need a new oil pan, or if I can, potentially weld that one back shut and make it, maybe fix it. So in general, the entire pullout went really well. So as you can see there, I left a lot of the accessories down. If I can focus. Left a lot of the accessories in the engine bay. Just sort of got them up out of the way. That way I can just kind of bolt them back on whenever I put the motor back in. Exhaust manifold, I'll probably go ahead and pull that out. I don't know how I'm going to get this entire thing back in with the transmission still attached down there. I think it'd be a little bit of a pain in the butt to try and finagle it in. So after doing all of this, I think, honestly, I need to pull the trans as well. Probably would have been easier to pull the trans and the engine together. That's something to know for the future. So if you're doing one of these, just, I guess, go ahead and pull the engine and the trans together. The other option was, I was thinking about potentially dropping the entire frame out from underneath, just because I do have a lift and can do that. But I wanted to kind of do this the way that I'm used to. So for right now, I just went ahead and did the old-fashioned way of pulling up and out. So in general, I mean, let's see here. It looks like we've got a broken tooth on our clutch. So there might be something going on there. You know, I think just in general, this motor was just probably not that well taken care of. So we'll go ahead and pull it apart, see what's actually wrong with it. Primarily though, based on the hole in the side of the block, I'm pretty sure it's just going to be junk. So that's why we have our new motor, our new short block. There's a head ready to go in. So this is being finished up. We'll get all new stuff on there, and then we'll start the moving of parts from this motor to that new motor. Alright guys, well, we're about wrapped up for today. Wanted to kind of show you where we're at right now. Basically took the head off, took it down to the basement because I'm going to go work on it there. Threw my block on top of one of these rollers. Basically what happened was the number 4 cylinder, I don't know if it spun a bearing or what, but it shattered the connecting rod. So connecting rod on that was basically thrown out the side of the engine. Checked the rest of the The rest of the bearings and stuff were absolutely fine, so I'm guessing it wasn't oil starved. However, if you look at the tops of these pistons, I mean, there is just a ton of junk, you know, floating around in here. I mean, the carbon buildup is just absolutely insane. I'm guessing that's, you know, to be had with a motor with 200,000 miles on it, and this thing was clearly run pretty rough. So probably what happened, I'm guessing maybe some detonation occurred based off of the amount of carbon that's in these cylinders. You know, a little speck like that gets hot, especially when you're running high RPM and kind of really cruising this thing around, and that probably is what set it off. So we'll go ahead and get all these parts moved over to our new block. Steal some of the, steal all the good parts. The head was in absolutely fantastic condition, so we will be able to reuse that. I'll probably just need to redo the valves and stuff on it. So next step, rebuild it, put it all back together.